Hello, this is what's called the Lateran obelisk in Rome. Now, as it stands, it's the single largest, heaviest stone in Rome, and as it sits now, it's over 100 feet and 330 ton as it stands now. So, well, for instance, now let's go down to probably about the 30th ranked stone heaviest stone in Rome, and that would be the column capital the capital on Trajan's column, which is just over 50 tons and is insignificant in the Roman world of engineering. The Lateran obelisk originally was 122 feet, and to put that in perspective, the unfinished obelisk in Aswan is about 140 feet. It made of actually quarried from the same site. Single piece of granite as it stands now, over 100 feet and 330 ton. But this was brought in the mid-4th century by the Emperor Constantius II, and it was brought from Egypt. This is from the temple of Karnak in Egypt. And so originally over 120 feet long and 450 tons. Ammianus Marcellinus recorded this. It was recorded in many aspects in Roman history. The date, the place, it's again all very strong records. So this monumental, megalithic, whatever description you want to use, this is one of the largest pieces of stone ever moved in human history, and originally 450 tons. I think it was the year 357 AD, and this is only one of the Egyptian obelisks that the Romans brought. Now, they did cut monumental stone and move monumental stone monumental distances on their own, but they also had a bit of a fetish for Egypt. The cults of Isis, Mithraism, all very strong in Rome. So 450 ton brought from Karnak in Egypt. And so let's have a look at what that means. And just to put some again, I'm going to do some longer videos, but in regards to fake untruths, really, really shocking sets of untruths in regards to, firstly, Roman technology, and recently, again, I'm going to address this because there has been fake news, I would call it shillery, in regards to comparison of Roman technology. And so, where was Portus? Portus is round about here, maybe there, and a hexagonal large port. It was the feeder port to Rome. So we have Rome there. So over 120 feet and 450 tons. And from port, now I have to move it, pardon me. Now, so let's just say that's roughly where Portus is. That's maybe there, but we're looking at 17 miles inland. So okay, well, actually, before we go there, let's go to the original location, and that is down in the Karnak temple here in Egypt. So this is where this particular stone, the Lateran obelisk, and several other stones come from Egypt, and the sanctuary itself, where it come from, I believe was around this area in the temple of Karnak. But let's be generous, and so let's say it come from let's say, okay, it was here at the front. It was actually back down here, probably. I'm not sure of exact. So let's be now we can roughly assume that, like, the river has moved, and but again, so from the closest, most convenient point of the temple, this obelisk had to be laid down, and it was taken 1/3 of a mile to the river. Okay, now, so already its first journey was 1/3 of a mile to the river. And then it was barged, and let's clear that one. So from Karnak, if we were to, okay, we'll just do a straight line from Karnak to the Nile Delta, 430 miles down the Nile, and it was taken to Alexandria. Now, the twisting path of itself, so we see 1/3 of a mile across land, downhill, okay, and then to Alexandria, so roughly 500 miles. Then from at Alexandria, it was transferred to another barge. So a river-going barge to begin with, 450 tons, and it was transferred at Alexandria to an ocean-going barge. And so there we have Alexandria, and there we have Rome. So that's 1,200 miles in the straightest path. So already we're looking over 1,700 miles across the ocean, but once it's on the barge, you don't have to carry the weight it's supported. So still an extraordinary feat to get it on the first barge, and then to get it off, and then to get it onto the second barge, and then to sail it a good portion. That's a significant part of the world. You've done a massive sea journey there to get this 450-ton obelisk, and then from Portus, when it had to be unloaded, and then it had to be taken as the crow flies 17 miles across some very, very rough terrain, and it was brought uphill. Absolutely uphill. There's no dispute about that. It was brought from sea level up to there. And then once it was got there, now Ammianus Marcellinus recorded this. And so when this obelisk fell because of an earthquake, I think it could have been some vandalism. A lot of obelisks were toppled as vandals and other people invaded Rome. But in the 16th century, Pope Sixtus V relocated and re-erected several of these, and he did this on the basis of the description given by Roman writers at the time. And this is 15th century, but this is Roman technology. Rope and wood and rollers. This was not invented. This was literally they read Marcellinus and got the description of how it was done, and then replicated it using existing Roman technology such as the capstan and these lifting towers. Now, it's often said that the strongest, heaviest Roman crane could carry 6 ton. This is absolute bollocks. This is a misunderstanding of the subject, because the crane often quoted, the polyspastus it's called, is a certain type of crane. It is by no means the heaviest or the strongest Roman crane. Using the existing polyspastus, all you do is add another wheel and 2 men walking the wheel, and it becomes a 12-ton crane. So if you hear that Romans' heaviest cranes were 6 ton, well, that's absolute bollocks. Even as a boom crane, even as that specific type of crane, but cranes is only a boom crane is only one type of lifting equipment, lifting techniques, and a lifting tower has used here using blocks and tackle, this ancient Roman technology, which was again so well recorded and depicted, multiple times described. It was used anything from engineering to sailing ships and moving these other points. So this is 450 ton, and it was moved again as the crow flies. So you would say realistically up this very difficult terrain, the hills all around Rome, brought uphill and brought in, 16 to 17 miles. Now, to put that into some perspective, and I'll pause a moment. Okay, so to put that into some perspective, this is the west, yes, the western, the famous stones of Baalbek. So we have the 3 trilithons, and we have these 7 stones underneath. Now, again, I'm going to address this in a longer, very detailed video. I'm going to go through it point by point, and in regards to the sophistry, which the BS that surrounds this topic, it's quasi-religious, and it's the absolute denial, twisting of facts. It's again, I'm not sure what the point is for some people who call themselves truth spreaders, but in comparison, so these stones, so the trilithons, 800 tons, it varies slightly, so let's say maybe up to 850, and we have these large stones with the beveled edges there, 350 tons. It is repeatedly often stated that the Romans did not have the technology to move these massive stones, and that is absolute bollocks. Now, again, those who repeat this often specify these particular stones as impossible to lift according to Roman technology. Again, despite the fact that the Romans didn't have a physical or technological capability to move these stones. Again, specifying these particular stones. So there we get an idea of the size. All very impressive, no doubt it's very impressive. And they were brought from half a mile away. So let's again... first, okay, quickly, I'll show it in detail. It's often said that these were brought uphill. That's being very loose with the truth to call that a fact. That is not a fact at all. That's not true. Okay, and it's also, again, to clarify, the heaviest stone in all of Rome is a column capital on top of Trajan's column. It weighs 53 tons. This is non-research. I would call this is sophistry. This is religion. This is absolute denial of facts to pursue. Well, it's false. It's absolute falsehoods. And I'm going to address this in detail because it's shocking. It's shameful. It's either the extreme end of idiocy or it's absolute lie and an intentional lie. And so Trajan's column, it's the heaviest stone in Rome. Not even close. Not even bloody close. Now, for instance, 16 columns at the Pantheon in Rome. They were cut and brought from Aswan in Egypt. So again, they did a roughly 1,700 mile journey, and a significant, at least 17 miles uphill, overland, over very, very difficult terrain. And they are each 60 tons, single piece of granite, 60 tons. And now, for instance, each one of these columns here a single piece is larger than the pieces of the columns in the Roman temples of Baalbek. The Roman temples of Baalbek are Jupiter and Bacchus, and they are clearly Roman. Every aspect, every detail of them is Roman. They were repeated in Rome. There are similar temples in Rome, in Syria, in Jordan, in Libya, across the Roman world. And to dispute that is to be fundamentally ignorant or deceptive in regards to Roman history. But anyway, I might be nitpicking that. Now the Vatican obelisk. This is not the largest obelisk in Rome. It was brought to Rome by Caligula, 330 tons, 75 feet high. So that's pretty much in scale to what it is now. It's said that the Romans could not move these large stones. There is no proof that the Romans moved these stones. I'm not arguing that they did do it. I'm simply arguing that the facts in regards to this stated by people are false facts. Absolutely 100% false, because it's said that the Romans could not move this yellow stone or the blue stone either. But for instance, we can debunk this bullcrap immediately, because even with the people whose research says that the heaviest stone in Rome was a 53 ton, not even close. It's nearly well over 6 times that size. So, and that's not even the largest of the stones that was moved from Egypt to Rome. But already, again, slightly less weight, depending, but effectively this stone, Trajan's, moved here by Caligula. The Vatican obelisk moved much further, much further, not only across oceans, the Mediterranean Sea, not the ocean, but it was also moved uphill, absolutely uphill, much further than the Baalbek stone here. So already this completely debunks some bogus, shameful, weak falsehoods. Okay, so already that's a fact check false. That's one. I'm going to follow this up because it's ridiculous what some people get away with. So this is not even the largest one, and it was brought uphill. These stones again were specified, and we also get now that's not the largest. That's the Lateran obelisk. So again, we put these things and compare them together. Just not true. Now again, it's the Baalbek stones were not brought uphill. We don't know that for sure. Most of the quarries around the Baalbek site are equal to or above the final temple site. So to say that these were brought uphill and to emphasize it again, that is not a fact. That is bogus as well. So just a quick one. Already, just with 5 minutes research, you can debunk a lot of this crap that goes around Baalbek stones. Have a good one.